Dear students, it is our pleasure to welcome you to the third Biotech Future Forum and to our plenary sessions for young leaders, Skills for the Future. Today, we are gathering here to discuss the skills and insights that will be critical as you step into a world driven by biotech innovation and the transformative potential of technology. To begin, it is my pleasure to invite Jelena Ružičić, Competitiveness and Digital Governance Portfolio Manager at UNDP Serbia, to the stage.
So first of all, you already heard my name, I'm Jelena. I used to be a student like you some 30 years ago. I finished the Electrotechnical University in Belgrade, and I had my career developed to the private sector, Microsoft, and finally UNDP. And before anything else, to tell you, my real passion is actually giving back to the students like you, because you are the future, and the future belongs to you. So one thing I wanted to tell you, and I will speak today, is about the future skills and what it means for in a real world which is in front of you. So, ladies and gentlemen, and my dear colleagues and the future colleagues, it is a privilege to speak with you about a topic that is not only timely but also critical for the future. The skills which all of you will need as tomorrow's workforce, and it is especially particularly needed in Serbia. As today we stand on the cusp of the fourth industrial revolution, which is characterized by the rapid technological development which you all witness, the skills needs to be evaluated in the future are now evolving and at an immersive speed. So actually, what does it mean? The future of the work is now shaped by several things. First of all, advancement in artificial intelligence, which you all actually witness to, automation, but also digital technologies. As in Serbia, but also in a real world outside, these developments offer immense opportunities and challenges that require us to actually rethink and retool the skill sets we need for the future. The skills that ensure success in the past will certainly not secure our future. Technologies, as you all know, are transforming the industries at enormous speeds. Jobs that once seemed secure are being disrupted. According to the newest World Economic Forum report, by 2025, 85 million of jobs might be displaced by digital technologies and AI, while 97 million of the new roles may emerge as a result of the new division of labor between humans and machines. To understand actually what is in front of us, the BioFuture Foundation crafted the report called 10 Megatrends Shaping Our Future in 2024. This report, actually, which I'd advise you all to read, define actually the lines of the future in years and decades ahead of us. It aims to initiate meaningful dialogues that empower futurists worldwide with a clear vision of the course of our lives and those of generations to come, which is actually you. So actually, what are those 10 megatrends which will shape the world in front of us? First of all, materials revolution. Because you all know that actually materials are the fundamental to everything we use and consume on a daily basis. The advancement in material science is being driven by machine intelligence and nanotechnology, as well as increased research activity amid recognition of the massive potential in improving things are made of and how. So actually, material science is the one of key to tackle global plastic pollution, which is enormous problems which we all face. The second one is boundless multidimensional data. So you all witness actually that rise of quantum computing, blockchain, IoT, edge computing, and digital realities. So actually raw data will continue to increase in both quantity and variety and access to immediate insights and a real-time analysis. And this will become the commonplace. Business is already adopting the explainable AI, enhancing AI model quality and customer experience based on those models. The third one is technology vulnerabilities. So actually vulnerabilities are risks will become more complex as they cross industries, technologies, and geographies, directly impacting every aspect of our work. The fourth one, energy boundaries. All those technology advancements are growing, are also imposing the demand in the energy, which will drive further exploitation and pursuit of a new and alternative source of energy. Saving ecosystem as the fifth one. So approaches to conservation will be more interdisciplinary and future focused, taking into account both societal but also environmental factors. And the main goal, which is also in front of us, but also in front of you, is actually maintaining the biodiversity of our planet while meeting human needs as well. The sixth one is actually borderless world and the fluid economy you all witness now. Advances in communication, computing, and machine intelligence will accelerate actually that borderless world, which will change the way we work, live, and how we connect with others. The seventh one, digital realities. So actually the new generations like my son, which is then now digital natives, how they call them, those who have actually grown up with all digital forms of entertainment, education, and even communications, will naturally use increasingly digital world, which many real-world tasks and behavior can be replicated and even improved in a 3D and 4D environments. The eighth one, living with autonomous robots and automatization. So actually driven by the progress in mechanical engineering, design, material science, and advanced communication networks, robots and automation will increasingly enter many, if not all, industries beyond the automotive manufacturing and supply chain logistics. This will provide opportunity for both efficiency and innovation, although there are ethical and social challenges which needs to be tackled in. The ninth one, the future humanity. With advancement, machine learning and brain computing, technology development in science and medicine, and increasingly borderless world, people understanding and expectation actually of self-realization, including work, education, it needs to shift. So actually how we will develop as individuals, but also as a community, will be completely redefined. And the 10th one is actually advanced health and nutrition. So progress in advanced machine intelligence, nano and biotechnology, additive manufacturing, and the IoT will change both the way that health and nutrition is understood and how they are experienced. Actually all we hope and they predict that all communicable and non-communicable diseases will be actually defeated and enhanced to sustainable use, and access to water and food will be improved. So actually, because we are all living in Serbia, how we actually will embed and this future vision is our everyday life in our future living and our future global market. So we in Serbia also need to embrace those reality and to build the digital skills for the future. For us to compete actually on a global market, the ability to understand and leverage digital tools is fundamental. And I think for you as a new generation, this is already becoming true. So the basic data analytics, digital literacy are vital as once for our grandparents traditional literacy was. So actually initiatives to improve digital skills starts from now the primary education, where actually bots have been introduced right now this year for the young ones, and continue to the whole professional development. So what we've done in Serbia up to now to embrace this future and to build future skills? So as you are aware, Serbia introduced the computer science from the grade 1. Actually, it's called the Digital World, which is actually followed from the year of 7 to to the year of 11. Then our students continue to learn different computing science, and then when they switch to the high school, they advance in those skills, and they can also enroll in, maybe some of you also did, in a special IT departments in the high schools. Once you finished your education, you can also go to some of the master programs available to you now, but also continue your non-formal education retraining. As you may be aware, we partnered with the Foundation Petlja to actually develop the open source materials for the enrich and upskill of all the Serbian citizens age 7 up to 77. We follow the whole educational program for both primary and secondary schools, and you can even try now the first AI tool developed for our educators to actually improve their teaching skills. So remember Foundation Petlja. So furthermore, actually, to bridge the digital gap, which is evident especially in rural areas of Serbia, we established something called summer camps for coding, with almost 400 students aged 12 to 15 already passed through them. But also giving those experience to their female and male friends in a rural area so they pursue their career further in computer science. One of the many of our activities which we had are also winter camps, but also the schools for machine learning. And also because we understand that in Serbia there is a huge gap in job market when it comes to programmers, we offer to the employed and non-employed persons the IT retraining program. Almost 2,600 individuals already gone through the six different IT educational programs, and which something I'm very proud of, actually, that 55% of those new students were actually female students. And another skill, actually, which we have to embrace for the future is also complex problem solving. So actually, the routine and repetitive tasks are automated. The ability to solve complex problems are very highly valued. This includes critical thinking, creativity, and innovation. This is something our students are now learning from the age of 7. So Serbian educational institution must focus on teaching these skills from a very young age to prepare the students for a rapidly changing job market. Another skill, which is not technical and something you not learn on your universities, is emotional intelligence. So because the human touch actually remains irreplaceable. Whatever you do in your life, the skills such as empathy, emotional intelligence, and interpersonal communication are essential to navigate through the new work environment. So those skills also helps in building stronger communities, but also to build in more inclusive workspaces in Serbia. Then adaptability and resilience. So the future is unpredictable at this very moment. We don't know how the world will look like in 10 years from now, but your capability to adapt to a changing circumstances and recover from the actually setbacks is crucial for you. This includes openness to new ideas and a willingness to step out of the comfort zone. Serbia actually workforce must be encouraged to embrace change rather than fear it. So actually whatever you study now, the world will change, the skills will change, so be open-minded, embrace it, don't be afraid to step into something completely new. And because you now came to something called Biotech Future Forum, the conference we have for the 3rd time actually in Serbia, and you are coming from a different technical university, 2 actually new skills which will be required for the future and which you can actually tap in with your own now interested are bioeconomy and bioinformatics. So actually, what are the bioeconomy skills? You heard probably that Serbia big bets for the future are Institute for Artificial Intelligence we established, the BIO4 Campus we are going to build where all the researchers from a different universities going to work. So actually knowledge of biological sciences is understanding biology, biotechnology, but also sustainable agricultural practices. So professionals' experience in genetics, microbiology, and environmental science as well will be in high demands in Serbia in the future. So we see the huge chance in bioeconomy. So please, if you study some of those sciences, this is a time for you to step in and advance your skills. Then sustainable resource management. Skills in managing natural resources, including water, soil, forest, are vital. So this includes knowledge of ecological principles, resource conservation techniques, and sustainable agricultural practices. We have one of the world-class bioscience institutes in Novi Sad. So if you are looking to advance your skill in one of those, please look for an opportunity there and get in touch. Then the green chemistry and bioengineering. So green chemistry and bioengineering is essential to develop the eco-friendly product and processes. So professionals in these fields will work on creating sustainable materials, biofuels, and reducing the environmental impact of industry processes. And on the end, policy and regulation. So whatever you do in your life, just remember that actually you have to take part in those policy and regulation processes, because regulating bioeconomy, sustainability, and environmental protection is very important. And to get there, we need the professionals of all kinds to get together. And then another skills I told you about, and you all need to embrace in the future coming from different universities, is bioinformatical skills. But they are not important only for bioinformatics, they are important for anything you do in your life. It's data analytics and management. So bioinformatics combine biology, computer science, and information technologies to manage and analyze biological data. So professional skills in bioinformatics are essential in processing and interpreting large data sets which are generated by genomics, proteomics, and other omics technology. It is crucial for advancing personalized medicine and understanding complex biological systems. Then programming and software development. Whatever you studied, actually having a basic skills in programming languages such as Python, R, and SQL are necessary. Developing and utilizing bioinformatics tools and software can drive innovation in biomedical research. If this is very far from you, please look at petlia.org. You have different open source material. You can advance your skills in a very fast time. And then finally, the machine learning and the AI. So the application of machine learning and AI in bioinformatics helps in identifying patterns and making prediction in biological data. Those advanced analytical techniques can simplify, accelerate breakthroughs in healthcare, pharmaceutical, and environmental sustainability. And finally, interdisciplinary collaboration. So whatever university you are coming from and whatever you studied at a time, working alongside biological expert, chemistry, physician, and other scientists is crucial for the new breakthrough in science. So actually communication and collaboration skills are essential when working in those interdisciplinary teams. So having said that, actually our educational and training system also needs to evolve and to meet those demands for the future. This actually means integrating technology into curriculums, promoting interdisciplinary learning, and fostering the environment that encourages actually curiosity and creativity. Being here, actually, you are creative, but also curious, and thank you for that. So actually, if you think that once, when you finish the university, you will stop learning, you are just on the beginning, actually. So the concept of long life learning is no longer optional. It is necessity. I also finished university a long time, 30 years ago, but I never stopped learning and advancing my skills. I'll also do that with my kids, learning something about virtual reality. So learning doesn't stop after you finish university. Please take the ownership of continuous personal and professional development. There is plenty of online courses, workshops, and certification you can obtain online free of charge. So we in Serbia really promote a culture of long life learning. So, and finally, what is our call for the future and for you who are sitting here all? So preparing for the future means being proactive and acquiring the skills that will be in demand. By embracing digital literacy, problem solving, emotional intelligence, adaptability, bioeconomy, and bioinformatical skills, you will equip yourself to navigate to the complex world in front of us. And because you are the future workforce in Serbia, please do so. Commit to a journey, to a long life learning, ensure that you are prepared for the future and embrace it. And I really encourage you to do so. So life doesn't stop at university, learn didn't stop. So learn, but also remember that once when you are advanced professionals, please give it back to the young ones. And thank you.
Thank you, dear Jelena, for that very inspiring talk. Next, I would like to invite Nataša Cmiljanović, CEO of Swiss Rockets in Switzerland, to join us.
Hi, everyone. So I'm jumping in today. So originally my brother Vladimir was supposed to give a talk, but he has some conflicting meetings, so I'm here instead of him, so I will be very spontaneous, but I'm very happy to share our experience. I will not talk about AI, but I will talk about our journey, so I think that would be very interesting for you young next generations and hopefully entrepreneurs. I gave recently actually a talk in front of the ETH students in Zurich and University of Zurich, and so I'm happy to repeat the story here. I'm Serbian, I'm from Kragujevac. Vladimir and I were born there and raised there, so we studied chemistry, I studied chemistry, and I was educated fully here in Serbia in Kragujevac, and studied bachelor and master in Kragujevac at Natural Science University in chemistry department. Vladimir had a little bit different journey, so he left country earlier after the NATO bombing, and he was a professional handball player, so he left the country and went to Germany and eventually Switzerland. However, he already started to study chemistry, and he wanted to continue with studying later in Switzerland. So we had similar interests. So I studied chemistry here in Kragujevac, he studied chemistry in Basel, and we more or less finished at the same time, and we wanted to do something together because we had that very same interest. And he suggested, why you don't come in Basel and we do our PhD together. So I came to visit, and I liked, and that was the subject, that was medicinal chemistry, drug discovery. So that's something that I liked. It's very applicable, and it was an opportunity to work in the project that potentially can help sick people and society in general. So that's how we started together and our professors, and we worked in the field of medicinal chemistry. We produced molecules. These are small molecules targeting P3K mTOR pathway. So this is, you probably heard, it's a very and frequently deregulated pathway in many, many cancers. We had collaboration with the Biomedicine Institute, so we did the synthetic part, the chemistry part, and our other mentor from Biomedicine Institute tested these compounds in biological settings, in appropriate assays. So the outcome of that work was that we then discovered a molecule that was very potent, and we decided together with our professors to found a spin-off of University of Basel, which we called PCure Therapeutics. So we then, from university settings, moved into the company and doing that for the first time in our lives. And we decided, Vladimir moved more into the business direction, so he was CEO of the company, and my wish was to stay in science. However, switching from drug discovery, that's something what I did, into the preclinical development and later on clinical development. And the interesting fact about that molecule that the code was, the first code of the molecule was NCB5, so you need to give some code to your molecule that you synthesize. And why NCB5? So that was actually referring to initials of my name, Natasha Smiljanovic, journal B, so you need to always write what you do every day in the lab, page 5. So that's the code that was then transitioned into the preclinical development, and then at some point you need to give more proper code, so it was changed to PQ309. And then I was learning, so I was growing with the molecule, so, and that was my wish to follow the molecule, so through all stages of development. So I moved to preclinical development and learned what is everything necessary and how things are being done there. And I knew that we will move later on into the phase 1. So then I wanted to be trained for that. So I took additional education to University Hospital Basel to be trained to conduct clinical studies. Then once we were first in humans, and I further transitioned into the clinical department and gained my experience there. And after some time, I was then able to run clinical studies. They were international clinical studies. They were in Europe, so in all top centers in Europe, in Oxford, UCLH London, many centers in Switzerland, Spain, and top centers in US like Mayo Clinic, like Mandy Anderson, Roswell Park. So yeah, so that was very interesting. I stayed there for 6-7 years. Then Vladimir, myself, moved then into the current company that we are now developing, that is Swiss Rockets. And the question why we did it, so why, you know, because we brought the molecule through the phase 1 and then moved into the phase 2 and in different cancer indications, so it's an anti-cancer drug. And also for dermatological cancer, some dermatological indications, so that this P3K-mTOR pathway is a key driver also in certain dermatological indications. And everything went well, but eventually, you know, we made some mistakes, and for this kind of businesses, you need a lot of money, so that's so much expensive. So we raised up to 100 million francs or dollars, whatever, and eventually, so we accepted some venture capitalists. So these are the special investors and institutional investors, and at some point they took over. So it's not unusual that's happening, but it happened to us for the first time. So in that moment, so we lost the company. They managed to took over, so we had several tries, and eventually third or fourth time, so he succeeded. And then they took over and they continued, and Vladimir and myself, so we needed to start all over again. We were thinking in the same year, so just maybe 6 months later, we came up with the idea to have a new company, and that would be the incubator and accelerator. And because we developed a huge network in the industry with industry experts, with investors, and we were also able to connect all these expertise with academic world. And believe me, pharma industry and academic world, they do not always talk the same language. And very frequently you need someone to bridge these two different worlds, because there are different interests in industry and what academia wants. And that's what we thought, that we actually are very close to both worlds, and that's how we started. So we started from logo and idea, and our dear investors that were with us from beginning, some of them that they still had trust in us. and accepted to be co-founder and invested in that idea. And what happened later, so we started to assess projects mainly from oncology. That's where our expertise is coming, and we evaluated more than 50 projects all around the world. They came to us and started to found the subsidiary companies. So then the COVID came, and we have been approached by spin-off ETH Zurich from a company that developed very novel technologies for development of SARS-CoV-2 vaccine, and we accepted because we felt ourselves responsible in that terms that if we have been approached with such technologies that we actually, as entrepreneurs and scientists, should do something about these situations we were all facing. We founded RocketVax. That was our first company that is developing live attenuated virus vaccines, and we started with SARS-CoV-2. That is, then we expanded collaborations to many, up to 8 universities and research institutions in Germany and Switzerland. We got access to many technologies, so we can attenuate virus, almost every virus, in different ways. And that gives us opportunity to expand the portfolio beyond SARS-CoV-2. However, the most advanced product is SARS-CoV-2 that is entering phase 1, and we have been approached by NIH, so the Ministry of Health of US, so they have been interested to support the whole development, and that is what's happening. So we are entering this phase 1, and they will support the whole development, and that would be actually the clinical validation of the first clinical validation, which is a huge milestone for the novel technologies. So then we then got back to oncology. That's where our passion lies, and we at the time of pandemic, we also have been approached by the government of Basel and in Switzerland generally. So they had a lot of difficulties with the supply of the medical equipment, and we got some network in China. So we agreed that we will support them and activated that network and organized the supply of these medical equipment to Swiss hospitals, which allowed us also to earn some money, and with that money, we actually invested in our technologies, and we got back to that first company, Picure Therapeutics. We bought that back, and we founded another subsidiary company, which is TorCure, a daughter company of Swiss Rockets. TorCure now is continuing development of our drugs, so something that we started some years ago, and we are in phase 2, and one pre-cancer indications, which is called actinic keratosis. So this is the pre-cancer stage of squamous cell carcinoma. And we are opening additional studies in different oncological indications. From there, then, we moved to the third project, and this is the radiopharmaceuticals. So we are developing next-generation radiopharmaceuticals, and we founded Torpedo. This is the third company, and this is in preclinical phase. We plan to enter in phase 1 early next year. So far, we are the incubator with 3 different projects, 3 different daughter companies, and on our side, our core is that we are continuing assessing different technologies. We already have some pipeline of next projects that we would like to incubate. And yeah, so that's what we are doing. And I just wanted to give you a message because I see a lot of young people, students here. So if you have interests and if you are innovative, and if you would like to create some new things and you would like to do by yourself, just have a courage and start. I met a long time ago one very, very influential and wealthy person in Switzerland, who is, by the way, also an investor, and he told me, Natasha, it's never early to start things, so it's better you start early than you wait. So then you have time, if you fail, so that's also opportunity to grow and learn and do it successfully the second, third time, so you never give up. Thank you.
Thank you, Natasha, for another very inspiring thought and sharing your insights. Now it is my absolute pleasure to invite Smita Pillai, Senior Vice President of Culture and Diversity, Equity and Inclusion, and Chief DEI Officer at Regeneron.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. How are you doing? Yes, good. The future needs to be bright and loud, right? So say yes, good, good morning. Excellent. Great presentation, Natasha, and thank you so much for both the presenters. It's a true honor and privilege for me to be here. We are going to talk about the skills for the future, and I wanted to focus on something that is very near and dear to my heart, which is, of course, leadership, but also diversity and innovation. And as we move forward, I just wanted to introduce myself very briefly. My name is Smita Pillai, and I'm based in New York right now. I've lived and worked across the globe, 5 different countries, but I was born and raised in India, so my heart very much belongs to the roots. Just like Natasha said, you can go all over the world, but your heart belongs where you were born and raised. You can't take that away. And it's funny, my name, Smita, it's pronounced so differently in different parts of the world, and the worst that I've been called is smitten in America. So when I'm in Starbucks and the line is long, the name is Sam, just give me my coffee. I wanted to share this to say that, all the brands that you see at the bottom are the companies that I've had the privilege to work with over the course of my 25 years of career. So starting with marketing research and consumer insights in AC Nielsen, with insurance in Florida, with this Blue Cross Blue Shield of Florida, Johnson & Johnson, as you know, particularly in their medical device company, Prudential, which is life insurance, again, very different sector. Wall Street Journal, which is the media, and I was the chief diversity officer there. And then now finally, after Zendesk, which was a technology company startup in the Bay Area, San Francisco, I've come a full circle back to life sciences where I belong, because ultimately it's about the future, like Natasha said, and the other speakers have said this morning. It is about what you can do for the future to create a better world. So I bring to you all these years of experience, and what I am going to share with you is just purely based on my experience. And that doesn't mean this is the final word. It only means I'm just sharing what I've learned, and I would love to get your insights, perhaps during the Q&A later or even after the session ends. So in a rapidly changing world, what are the skills to focus on for your future? And I think the first question to start with is, how have you considered, and have you considered the true why behind it all? And that's a pretty deep question. That's like asking a 5-year-old, what do you want to be when you grow up? Right? That is a tough question, even at my age. So I can imagine it's a tough question for you. And you don't need to have a perfect answer, but you do need to think about the question. What is your why? And by the way, your why could change as you evolve in your life, as you grow older, as you have more experiences. So we'll come back to this question, but keep this question in mind about what is your why? And before we dive into what are the skills you need for the future, it is important to perhaps take a moment, and I think the speakers before me also talked about, how is the future of work evolving? And this is a very simple model, at least for me. I like simplicity. It's a very simple model to think about how is the future of work evolving. The future of work is evolving in 3 different dimensions. There could be more. Like I said, I like simplicity. The future of work is evolving in terms of work, workplace, and workforce. It's a model from Deloitte, and I like it because it basically anchors to say that, look, we all know we are here in a conference around AI in biotech and bioeconomy, and work is evolving because new technologies are coming, and an estimate says 61% of the organizations are actively redesigning jobs around AI. which means the skills that you've been trained on, that I've been trained on, could be one of the skills that the organization is redesigning. So that is just one element of work. Workplace is evolving because, post-pandemic, many people want to go online, virtual, and then you'll see companies saying, nope, come back. And there are multiple generations who are thinking very differently about workplace. What is a workplace? Is it my living room? Is it a beach? Is it a conference room? Is it the office? And then finally, workforce. It is beyond a doubt that the workforce is rapidly evolving and changing. And that means that 70% of the companies believe they need a different mix of talent. Again, what does that mean for each of us, especially you, the future? So with that as a context, I wanted to dive into just key elements of each of that, fundamentals around work, workforce, and workplace. So with the workforce, I love this term, 6G. And you may not think about the other generations, or maybe you do, but maybe not the whole thing. I did not think about that last generation, I will be honest. When I did the research, the generation Alpha, because my children are in Gen Z, and I thought, that's it. But guess what? That's not it, right? The world does evolve. So starting from the left, which is the silent generation, you might think people well into their 70s and 80s, of course they must be retired on a beach somewhere. But guess what? Some of them are very active, powerful members of boards in different organizations, countries, influencers. So that generation is not out. That generation is here, and their thinking is here, right? And then you move into baby boomers. Many of them are CEOs of the company. So again, a very powerful, influential generation. Then the Gen X, that is kind of stuck between trying to be the CEO or maybe the CEOs, and then same thing with millennials and Gen Y. By the way, I'm in that generation of the millennials, Gen Y. When I came into the workforce, there were many misconceptions about me. Oh, lazy, privileged generation. Oh, those millennials. And guess what? I'm not one of those millennials. And most of the people I work with are not those millennials. You know what I'm talking about. And now I suspect you are from the Gen Z. And guess what? The same talk track. Oh, those Gen Zs. They don't want to work hard. They don't want to come into the office. They. And you're going to prove them wrong because you are the future. And then comes after you Generation Alpha. This is just one element of the workforce, multiple elements, right? 1 in 4 in the workforce have some form of, they are in the neurodiversity spectrum. Right? 1 in 20 have some kind of disability across our workforce. There are multiple areas that we have to think about when people are working together. That's just workforce, workplace. And this is just a snippet of things that I found from different global newspapers, right? And I do this every time I talk because it's so interesting to see what's going on in the world, and sometimes so divisive. And if you think, and we think, meaning the two different generations think, that all that is happening outside the workforce, when you come into the workforce, whether it's private, public sector, oh, we don't need to talk about politics. We don't need to talk about, what's happening in the world. That is not true. We may not want to talk because it gets very divisive, but all of us come with our own baggages or privileges in the workplace. So that is another interesting thing that is happening that you also will have to keep in mind. How are you going to take all of this and go into the workforce? Are you going to stay out of the conversation? You're going to lean in? And if you are going to lean in, how will you have the skills to make that happen? And then the work itself is changing. This is the World Economic Forum report that says the future of jobs needs reskilling, and I think you've heard it from everyone so far. 44% of the workers' core skills are expected to change in the next few years. Now, if that sounds scary, it definitely sounds scary to me. Hopefully not to you because you're still young and agile. But I wanted to put that all kind of somewhat scary statistics and kind of background to the context to say that despite all of this, perhaps because all of this, we think, and again, I represent one of the most innovative companies in the world, Regeneron, we truly believe that humans are at the core of innovation. And that's, again, a theme that we've heard this morning, which is despite all of the technological advances and perhaps because of it, you are going to be the core of innovation. And when to prove this, and if you heard Dr. George Yancopoulos yesterday, I don't know if you were here, he's our co-founder of the company, and we did this experiment, and he shared this as well, and we said, let's put it on ChatGPT. Can AI produce true innovations? This was the answer, not edited by me or anyone. This is what came back with, which is AI can contribute to true innovation, but human creativity is critical for radical innovation. Now, we can sit with it, we can argue, we can say generative AI can truly create innovation, but the fact remains that humans need to be at the core, at least as of today. That's what we believe in. We can argue about it, but that's what we believe in, that humans are important. What that means also is that for humans to be at the core of innovation, there are multiple things that you all, from a future skills perspective, you need to keep in mind, right? There are competencies, which is empathy. You talked about empathy, right? Transparency, humility, acknowledging that I made a mistake. And the outcomes of all of that is, if you are humble as future leaders, if you are open to learning, if you are agile, what you're creating is you're harnessing the creativity of not only yourself, but people around you. And that is so important for our future. And the most important element of human-centered innovation is to be able to create what I've highlighted in pink there, which is what Natasha talked about, failure, right? Psychological safety to fail. For anything to be successful, you need to have a few failures. You'd be lucky if you had just had one, but all of us had failures. But if you don't create the psychological safety, you or your managers or seniors who you work with, then people often are afraid to take the risk. And if you don't take a risk, you don't succeed. And we all know that, right? So I wanted to delve a little bit into this concept of psychological safety because I didn't hear that this morning, and hopefully you've kind of heard the term, but there are some misconceptions about it, right? In this politically divisive world, people think psychological safety is, just saying yes to everyone, being polite. No. Psychological safety is actually creating a space where you're free to speak your mind, right? So if you have a different point of view, you can speak without being humiliated. I disagree with you on generative AI, but I disagree with the idea. That doesn't mean I call you a fool, right? That's very different. And that's about enhancing the creativity. Collaboration. You can reach out to two different teams without getting all nasty about, no, you can't be talking to my team, right? Without getting territorial. And the third piece is that by creating psychological safety, there is an ability to take hypothesis-driven risks that might fail. And making failure okay, right? Making failure a way to succeed is the key to innovation. And I'm suspecting if you all are here, you are thinking future, and the future has to be driven by innovation, especially in the biosciences. So fail often in order to succeed sooner. That's something I hope you will remember. And I hope you take this. If you don't get the psychological safety, build it for yourself, right? If there is a place that you don't have psychological safety, see if you can go to a better place, because the world needs that, right? So I'm not saying just jump the ship, but I'm just saying that is so important. Don't curb your creativity and your future potential because you don't have psychological safety. Don't change yourself for that. So that's one ask I have of you as you're thinking about your future. So, of course, when you think about innovation, you think about a lot of different companies. Some are very big and, loud out there, like the Teslas of the world or the Amazons or the Apples or Google. But here we are at Regeneron, which is, we don't talk too much about ourselves, but we are one of the top 10 biotech companies in the world. And at Regeneron, the way we think about innovation, just wanted to give you a perspective, is that we feel like even after 35 years of 13 approved drugs in the market, we still feel like we're just getting started. It's still a company that is run by physician scientists, the co-founders of the company, which makes a tremendous impact on the culture of the company. It has 10 times the industry success rate, and it's all driven by our own technologies. It's not bought from somewhere or collaborations are important, but we drive our own technology and our own innovation. And I want to share that because we think of it as doing well by doing good. That's another thing. When you think about that first question I asked, your why. What is your why? Our why is doing well by doing good. It's as simple as that. We want to do good work, and that will lead to doing good things from a financial point of view. It's not the other way around. We want to make money, and we'll figure out how to make money. So that's our why as a company, and that really nails it down to radical innovation for humanity. And when we think about innovation, these are some of our principles that we follow. And you'll see all of this is around human-centered way of looking at things. Nowhere here will you see technology. That does not mean technology is not important. It just means that we value our people. We value our innate ability to create, question, challenge. You'll come into our conference rooms and you'll see these loud debates happening. And you might think, oh my God, these people are fighting. And they're not. They're actually arguing what is a better idea to push science forward. And that's what I mean by psychological safety. Go to a space where you can have that psychological safety to challenge, no matter if that's the co-founder of the company or just someone who's just come in from college, right? So these are some of the number one thing that our co-founder talked about yesterday on stage was this willingness to fail. Right? You have to risk failure to be successful. You have to challenge everything, have a beginner's mindset. And this is a Buddhist concept, which is if you have a beginner's mindset, you're humble enough to go in saying, I don't know. Maybe this person is saying something that I've never thought of before, right? So that's being open to different ideas. You have to identify simple truths, not just go with the dogma of it has always been like this. You have to connect that simple truths with what are the bottlenecks in the system? Do I have the ability to push through the bottlenecks? And then you have to tie those things, fundamental truths that leads to simple solutions and limits the bottlenecks. And that's how we think about innovation. Again, it may not be perfect, but it's worked for us so far. So skills, coming back to skills that you need for your future. This is, again, the World Economic Forum's report. And what it says, the report says, is that the skills most in need for developing, and you're definitely hearing a lot of technical skills. Of course, that's not saying that's not important. But the most that we forget and needs developing as you get into organizations, private or public or nonprofit, is creative thinking. And let me assure you, your creative thinking will die if you're not in the right environment, if you're hiding yourself. Curiosity and lifelong learning, leadership and social influence, resilience, right? Being able to fail and stand up and succeed again. And at Regeneron, I just wanted to give you an example that, of course we are a science company and the focus is on science, but we do bring our scientists together and our manufacturing folks together and our commercial folks together to do a ton of things, which brings them and closely connected as humans. We have employee resource groups. We talk about inclusive leadership. That's the model there. We have culture labs where we talk about what is not working in the company. And the co-founders listen to these things, even till date. And so coming down to what can you do? A few things. It's not rocket science, but simple things, right? The first one is don't shy away, which I don't think this generation will. Some of folks from my generation, I did shy away from continuing to, you're talking about continuous learning. I did shy away. I was done after college, right? After doing my master's and after studying so hard, I was like, I'm not studying anymore. I'm here to work and be successful. But I learned it the long and hard way that you can't stop learning, right? So in this age, it's embracing digital and data literacy. But it's also developing the soft human skills. Don't underestimate how important that is. Especially the folks from the sciences, you think, I've got my technology, that's good. But you've seen many leaders fail as you progress in your career if you don't have the human skills. If people don't want to follow you, you're alone. And you can't go too far on your own. You need a good team with you. Commit to continuous learning, as I said. The fourth point is super important. Appreciate diversity and empathy, right? Diversity has become a lightning rod, right? There are people who are saying it's gone too far. Diversity is about all of us, right? I often say this. In the United States of America, I am considered, quote unquote, diverse. If I go back to my home country where 1 billion, that's B, 1 billion humans exist who look like me or talk like me, I'm not diverse. Right? So diversity is contextual. So do not shy away from diversity. Embrace diversity in whichever form it comes and have the empathy to understand the other person. And finally, of course, foster a culture of innovation. So again, we started with the why, and I'll end with the why, which is, what is your why? Give it some thought. Like I said, our why is doing well by doing good as a company. And that does drive a lot of us individually towards, we want to create a better world. And that's our why. We are not after commercial success. We are after driving science to medicine for a better world. What is your why, personal why, or organizations that you join? Keep that in mind, right? What's the clarity of your goal, which is the head, the why, which is what's your purpose, and who are you kind of most motivated to connect with? And the guts, finally, right? Do you have the courage to make the right decision, to walk away from something, lean into something when the time is right? So keep those key questions in mind as you navigate your career further. And finally, there are two choices at every point in your life. And neither one is right or wrong. It's about being conscious about the choice you're making and leaning into it. The first option is, are you playing not to lose, which is okay, right? You might be in a position in your time or your life where you don't want to take a big risk. You're playing not to lose, and that's okay, but be clear about it. It'll give you a lot of mental peace and sanity and calmness when you know what your why is and what's your question that you're answering. And are you playing not to lose, or are you playing to win? So have that clarity in mind, keep your mental health intact, be centered, be focused, and keep the human in you very, very much centered and alive. So all the best for your bright future. Thank you.
Thank you, Smita, for sharing your perspectives and for uplifting and encouraging our youth. It is truly inspiring. Our next speaker is Kevin Da Silva, co-founder of Serendipity Collective Ventures.
Okay. I promise I'll say a few words, unlike last time. Just a little bit about myself. So I would be what I would call a serial intrapreneur and also a serial entrepreneur. I've been working for the past 25, almost 30 years for mainly corporates. And basically, I had this passion for innovation, which I nurtured 10 years ago. And through that, it has basically changed my life. Because with innovation, for addressing the unknown, the unseen, and things which are way beyond your trajectory and projection, it's an extremely scary and motivating place to be. And because I'm so passionate about innovation, I, 5 years ago, started my own business, which is a Swiss consultancy around innovation. So I can talk to you later, Natasha, because I also believe in the same things. And basically, I came across government organizations for the first time. And I also came across the WHO, and I learned about public innovation. And what I want to talk about is the benefits of public innovation versus private innovations. But first, let me just share a video in terms of the Serendipity Collective, which will explain not the why yet, but it'll explain the what and a little bit about the how, and then I will go into the why. Okay. Oh. Can we play the video somehow?
Welcome to the 2024 Serendipity Collective, a platform where a myriad of disciplines converge to share their dreams for the future of science, society, and humanity. Imagine this. It's the year 2100, and humans have built habitats on Mars using self-repairing materials and bionic cells. We've tailored precision foods to individual needs and created digital twins for personalized healthcare. Superbugs recycle waste into valuable resources, and plant cells have been modified for deep space environments. This vision of the future is closer than you think, and it all starts here at the Serendipity Collective. In May 2024, in a transformed factory compound on the outskirts of Tallinn, Estonia, the Serendipity Collective brought together a unique community of innovators, scientists, engineers, artists, and writers.
We want you to intermingle, we want you to learn from one another and really to help drive the science forward.
For 2 days, participants engaged in talks, workshops, and collaborative sessions to rethink, design, and co-develop groundbreaking ideas.
A lot of times in fundamental research and science in general, you see a lot of hard conversations about the deep science aspect of it, and everybody gets very tunneled and very siloed. The artist really brought out the creativity in the scientist, right? And what this, I thought, did was take a lot of the individuals and force them out of that comfort zone when they're a mile deep in that hole and bring them back up to the surface and completely change the whole way they look at that problem.
Big ideas define the future. By providing a platform for these ideas to grow and thrive, the Serendipity Collective makes a world of difference. Our participants' work today will inspire the next generation of creators, contributing to the broader tapestry of humanity.
I'm really sure that we'll use these tools to be better scientists, better innovators, better persons. So I think it's a really perfect event.
To have the opportunity to feel free to think whatever I want to think without any barrier is amazing to me.
The future starts here. Join us in creating a better world. For more information, visit our website at serendipitycollective.com.
So if we just go to the slide again, please. So what is the Serendipity Collective? Basically, it's a social innovation platform with topic areas chosen by government agencies. Now, the topic areas are similar to what Yelena presented before out of Dubai. So, it's really looking at biomedical technologies, it's looking at biosustainability, it's looking at new energy sources, it's also looking at interstellar travel and materials, advanced materials. So that is just a framework for you to think about. But if you were here yesterday, some of the key things that I took out of yesterday is that we are thinking about 10, 20 years from now. And to give you some sort of preparation for that time where you have to create new markets. Those markets don't exist. And to me, that's quite exciting because you are the youth of tomorrow and you have the ability to shape what's going to happen. One of the other key messages from yesterday is in order to help you do that, public institutions like governments need to actually collaborate. So they can't just work in silos and each of them have their own silos. They've got to work together. And collaboration was a huge theme of yesterday. And that's what we also have in the Serendipity Collective, as you have seen. So some of the governments that we have are the US government. We've also got the Indian government. We've got the Estonian government. We're talking to the Singaporean government. And then hopefully, Vesna will talk a little bit later also about the Serbian government and what they're willing to do as well. In fact, towards the end of this discussion, I would like to bring on some of the people who were in that workshop that we had in Tallinn to express what they think about it as well and what's in it for them. And that may help you kind of work through what it should mean for you and how you can actually participate. So you thought you were going to have a free day today, but no, we're going to actually make you work as well. So you can actually have a look at the QR codes and do some investigation on it. And then we're going to actually apply innovation. So a little bit we've talked about today already is what is the process of innovation? What does it mean for you? But, we're giving you an opportunity to also apply for it. And basically, when you go in there and post your ideas, we will have a panel of artists, scientists, engineers, people from the humanities, kind of try and evaluate the most promising ideas and then bring you to the next place where we will also have a 2-day workshop where you can actually then learn through it and actually adapt your ideas, build up your teams, and then eventually move further up the process of innovation. So what we say is usually, we know everyone's interested, and Natasha actually brought that up before. Private investors are interested in TRL, let's say 4, 5 and beyond, okay? But what we're trying to build is something with TRL -1. And we're looking for, and we're willing to give you some seed investments from TRL -1 and then support you all the way up to kind of TRL 4 or 5. So that's what we're committed to do, and we welcome all of you to join us in that journey. So let me bring on board now, so I'm changing the game a little bit, which I'm famous for doing, but let me bring on board my dear, dear colleagues from the collective. So we've got Vesna, Marina and Igor, and each of them will give their unique perspective in terms of what the Serendipity Collective means to them. I'll just go grab a microphone so you guys can speak. So if you would just introduce yourselves first, and then you can actually go through where you are. But I'll start with Vesna, then I'll go with Marina, and then finally Igor.
Hi, my name is Vesna, and I work currently at the Faculty of Agriculture, University of Novi Sad. So since we are talking to students, I can say a few words about myself. So I'm from Loznica, a small town in the western Serbia. And I studied Faculty of Economics at the University of Belgrade. And I was one of the first generations who took management courses, which was not popular really then because no one could actually envision what kind of positions we can have in the future. But actually, I work now more than 10 years as a project manager in different fields. And last 5 years, I work in science as something what is now called a research manager. So I help out scientists match their ideas with the possible funding possibilities, mostly in the realm of the Horizon Europe program that is funded by the European Commission, but also now different funds that Scientific Fund of the Republic of Serbia has. So I developed different kind of skills from economics and management to working in teams and learning different things about science. Maybe some of the mentionable things could be projects that we are implementing. One of the biggest is the 8 million euro we got this year. And we will tackle different adaptation to climate change agricultural practices, and our institution will lead this project, which is, I think, great success for us. And I also work with the different topics. So I will be open to more questions about skills that are needed for this position.
So Vesna, I mean, Vesna's quite new to the collective, but a very important member. So can you talk a little bit about why you think it's interesting and what you see as the future for you?
So I worked at one research institute, the Bioscience Institute that was mentioned today, and then I moved to the Faculty of Agriculture. I'm not the scientist, so I don't engage in the scientific work, but I work with different research teams. And what crossed my mind is that somehow there is this, as you called it, silos or some kind of barriers between people on how they communicate on what they want to do. And I feel like that Serendipity Collective created some sort of a safe space for researchers to express their ideas. Because without these ideas, I cannot do my job. I cannot match them with people that maybe have funds or available public funding so we can move forward. And sometimes only connecting different people will add value. So I see really working in this international setup as adding value in our internal communication, but also added value to my job, how I can do things better. So this is for me the key thing.
Thanks, Vesna. Now, as we go through our process, one of the first things that we have to do is actually form an idea. And we look for you to actually come up and post your idea on there. And that, we actually help you to present your idea in the best way possible. So Marina will talk you through a little bit about that, and just introduce yourself first too, Marina.
Okay, so first of all, hi everyone. I'm so glad to see so many young faces here. My name is Marina. I'm from University of Novi Sad, and my background is pretty diverse. I started out as a biochemist. I moved to medicinal chemistry, moved to physical and theoretical chemistry, and I'm well into computational modeling. So for me, it was I always loved science. I thought it was fun. I loved big ideas. But with my background, it was really difficult to figure out, where do I fit? Like, what do I do with this? And then I stumbled upon Serendipity Collective. And there was this tagline, which was like, unleash your inner genius. And I was like, okay, let's see what there is, right? And I started learning about it. And then I started to see that maybe this is a place for my ideas. So I was a part of the winning team last year as a member, and then for the last event, which was shown in the video, I decided I want to apply with my own idea. And that idea is creating virtual humans where we can simulate diseases, disease progressions, drug treatments for that effects, so we can find the perfect drugs for a specific individual patient, or even prevent diseases before they even happen. So as you can see, that is really big and pretty ambitious idea. And that's not something I can pitch to, Horizon Europe, right? Because even though they like risky ideas, this is pretty future forward. So I was really on the struggle, should I apply? Because as Kevin said, looking into unknown is so exciting, but also it's super scary. Because, first of all, can I do it? Can I actually do it? And second thing is, will I actually sound insane when I go in front of the panel of expert judges and say things like this? But I decided to do it, and that was the best thing that I actually decided. Because when I went to Tallinn, there were a lot of experts from many different fields, from biology, AI. There were science fiction writers who actually helped me form my idea and explain it in simple terms. And I had to let go of my idea. I had to let people interact with it, give me feedback for that idea, and actually figure out how to do it. I presented my plan for that idea, and that plan made sense to a lot of people I respect. And I think that was even more important for me than money. Because yes, I need money. I need funding to actually make this true, but I got validation that what I dream, what my vision is, makes sense and can be done. And it can be done with support. And I think that's the third part that I actually love Serendipity Collective, because it was not only safe space to go and share these kind of ideas. It was safe space to collaborate, to find a team. But once we started working on experiments, you actually get support and encouragement, because doing something big is difficult and it's scary. But you're not doing it alone. And that is why I truly encourage you to try to apply or to come to brainstorming session. Or I'm starting the local chapter here in Serbia, and I would really love if you would all be a part of it, because our core thing is to encourage all kinds of diverse thinking, include everyone, and actually think about new future and make it happen. So yeah, thank you. And sorry if I took a little bit of more time for this.
No need for apologies. So now I'll just pass you on to Igor. So Igor's project is a little bit further stage. You can tell at which stage you're at. So please.
Yeah, thanks. Okay, since today was a lot about journeys, I will try to share my journey with you and how it came to the stage where I'm now and we are now. My background is also quite diverse. I got a bachelor in biology, then master in microbiology. Then I realized that doing all that biology, which I really like, I'm still missing some kind of more formal training in making not just narrative stories about this influence, that influence, or whatever, but something that would be more tangible. So then I moved to do my PhD in physics of complex systems, just to train myself in mathematics. But while doing that, I kept being fascinated with the ability of organisms to adapt themselves, to reconfigure themselves, to find new solutions to completely new problems. And actually, in our daily life, we also do pretty much the same thing. You encounter some new problems, you figure out what to do with that. So on a smaller scale, we are doing something similar that organisms are doing on evolutionary scale. But for me, the problem is that we actually do not understand how it happens. And it remains my fascination to try to figure out what kind of system organization we should have to allow for such ongoing flexibility and adaptability. But then I realized that tackling directly such question will not get funds because it's too far-fetched, probably too vague, without any immediate products. And then I applied my personal strategy of taking bits and pieces of my ideas and building something more immediate around them. And that was my way of functioning for some years, winning some Horizon projects, doing them, applying those in oncology, in simulating drug treatment effects, resistance emergence, and so on. But as a background desire remains that big idea of figuring out that kind of flexibility and actually building out, if I understand how something works, then I should be able to build it out. So my idea was to try to develop, let's say, a computational engine that will be able to do that, in contrast to existing AI systems where you basically try to find out correlations between large sums of data. I wanted to develop something more interesting to me, where we will have machines that are able to basically think in a similar way as we do, to take some unstructured, unknown data, figure out what they exactly mean, how they can be applied in the current situation, figure out what would be the model behind those data. So it will probably lead to some form of consciousness or not, I don't know. But yeah, that was my background idea. And I kept it in the background because I realized it was too far-fetched. But then I saw Kevin's initiative, applied with that, won that. We built, using the fund we obtained, we built very early proof of concept, showed that we are not talking nonsense, which was the primary goal there. And, but then it's a long journey. It needs a lot of time, a lot of years, and a lot of funding, of course. So after that first cycle of getting some kicking funds, showing that it makes sense, now we are back to defining some shorter-term goals, but at the same time, having that North Star fixed, not forgetting what is the ultimate goal. But in the meantime, you need to secure funding. So the big part of the job after showing that initial proof of concept was to try to figure out what could be immediate products, where can they be applied. And since in previous works I had background in medicine and especially oncology, now we are negotiating with Indian government, MedTech Valley, about using our technology in developing medical devices. We also secured a $3 million fund from another Horizon project to apply, again, these parts of our technology in developing next generation of analysis of tumor biopsies, so we can develop more personalized treatments for patients. So basically, what I want to summarize with is that after you get your why question from Smita, don't be afraid to have a bold vision. And don't be afraid if it is too far away, maybe 10, 20 years from now. But in order to not just leave it as a nice vision that's nice to talk about over coffee or beer, you need, as Natasha explained, you need to be flexible. You need to have grit. You need to stick with your idea, and you will fail 1, 2, 4 times. I don't know how many times. But eventually, if you are flexible enough, if you are gritty, if the vision is backed, of course, with some meaningful reasoning, there are good chances that you will succeed. So I guess that's my message to all of you. Thank you.
I would actually like to just add.
So I just wanted to thank the three of you. I think they're very humble, but honestly, they're really pushing the limits. So just another round of applause for them, please, and their courage as well. I know we've gone a little bit over time. Okay, here's the drone. Come and take a picture with the drone. Basically, I just wanted to leave you with this. This is my favorite slide as well. And in it, Leonardo da Vinci, who was, multidisciplined himself, said to study the art of science and the science of art. And, come join us as well. Come with your out-of-the-box thinking into the little home that we have called the Serendipity Collective. But thank you very much for giving us the opportunity to present ourselves today, and good luck in the future. Thank you. Can you take a photo? Can you just take a photo with us? We'll never get this opportunity again, so I'm just taking a photo. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, dear guests, for another thought-provoking talk. Finally, we're honored to welcome Max Talanov, Senior Research Associate at the Institute for Artificial Intelligence in Serbia.
Hi, hello. Hi, so many of you, and I'm alone. Can we make it different now? Can we talk a bit so I can hear your feedback? Can you talk to me? Okay, this is my presentation, and we're going to talk about future of AI. Have you heard about the AI? Like, yes, say yes. Yeah, super stuff, I can hear you. Okay, so we are to the left where this human figure is. And to the right is what they call artificial general intelligence, which I don't like this term. But I want to ask you, do we have, I mean, we humans here, do we have general intelligence? What do you think? I cannot hear you. What do you think? We have general intelligence. So if we implement the brain, will it be like general intelligence? Will it have? What do you think? Okay, there is no answer. Okay, but well, if we have brains, so then we have general intelligence. So if we implement that, for example, as electronics, then we should have general intelligence. It's like logical thing. What do you think? Do you have any objections on that? No? I'm trying to push you to think out of the box. I really like this term, thinking out of the box. So I'm trying to push you out of the limits at the moment. So think about that. What if we implement that? So what I'm going to ask you now, have you ever tried, for example, ChatGPT? Yes, super stuff. What do you think about the limitations of this technology? Are there any? There are. Okay, name some.
Being bad at math.
Sorry?
Being bad at math.
Bad at math. Okay, that's good. Yeah, bad at math. Okay. What next? Emotions. Oh, that's fantastic. I like emotions, right? And we've been talking about empathy. What about empathic AI if it's not emotional? So it's not capable of doing emotions because there are no neuromodulators. We are going to talk about that a bit later. What else? You cannot ask. Yeah, you can. Why? You are not limited of asking. He won't respond, possibly. It won't respond. Oh, okay, so I have a slide about the limitations actually here, and those are mainly technical ones. And so we have like highly energy consumption. It actually, well, we are going to have examples of that. It's really, really, really ineffective, and we have a problem with that already. And so it's limited flexibility. Well, we're going to have a look at that either, and compare that with the brain, because I'm going to address the brain as a spiking neural network, the next generation of AI, and what we have are nice examples. I mean, we all have brains, we all have nervous systems, we all have spiking neural networks working here in our heads. That's why we're having this conversation in the first place, and we can have this conference and so on and so forth, right? So that's the nice examples that we have already working, and we're going to talk about them. Those are solutions mainly. So again, I'm trying to push you a bit out of the limits and think of how can we actually implement the things that we see in our nervous system. And actually AI, well, ChatGPT, neural networks, well, in general, they were inspired by neurons, but what we have in our brains, well, they were mainly inspired by squid neurons, actually, and then by human neurons. So I'm going to make a bit of advertisement here. So I'm going to deliver 4 hours non-boring, I promise, lecture on this topic for next generation of neural networks in 19th of November during the DSC conference, and you will get the free access to that. But for that, you need to send me the email on this email address, starting with 3NN, right? And 20 of you will be selected, and you will have the free access to the lectures. And we will go into the details how to make it actually. All right, okay. The other thing that we have with ChatGPT, okay. Do you think we can make friends of something like that, chatbots? Or possibly you've already made that. Could it be like a friend to us? No. Yes, no, no. So still no, right? So, but we like to what we call anthropomorphize the agents. So our story actually started in 1966 when scientist Joseph Weizenbaum created ELIZA. ELIZA is really simple agent. It pretends to be psychiatrist, and you can try it if you use Linux. Is there anyone who has Linux or like Linux? Raise your hand. No, you don't like Linux, really? Okay. So, but you can try to download that, and you can try to run it. It's really primitive. It has cyclic structure, and you can play with that a lot. And at the end of the day, he actually created the book. He wrote a book about that anthropomorphization. So we are actually assigning the human features to really simple programs. And he was really disappointed at that time with this. And so we are doing that with ChatGPT, for example. But though it is not capable of being empathic at all. And we need to be empathic. And we like to actually have empathic conversations. And here is examples of assigning human features to AI. One of the creators of ChatGPT, Ilya Sutskever, actually he wrote this, that it's slightly conscious, with no emotions, with no neuromodulators. Have you heard about dopamine? Oh yeah, it doesn't have. Serotonin, it doesn't have. Noradrenaline, it doesn't. So no, it's not capable. Emotions or consciousness, so it's not there. So the other thing is that we can assign human features even to just programs. Do you know what AlphaZero is? No, you haven't heard of it. This is one of the early examples of success of AI, when they trained 2 instances of the program that could play Go game. You know Go game, right? Okay. So, and that was that good that they could manage to win the best human player in this Go. So that was 2 instances that trained, that challenged each other, that was like in competition, and then they put one of that trained against human, and they won that. But then they were addressing that like it has an insights, which is really one of the missing points of creativity. What do you think about creativity? Is it capable of being creative? No, it's really not. Yeah, for example, I can give you some example of human creativity. The quartet of four helicopters that is being played by 4 helicopters that was produced and designed by Karl-Heinz Stockhausen, and that was played once in 1993. Can you imagine that actually music could be created by helicopters? And it is, it's music. And we are doing that. I mean, we humans are that good at creativity. The other thing is, for example, calculation that could be done with fungi. Can you imagine mushrooms doing the calculations? It's done by my friend Andrew Adamatsky, actually. So we are that good at creativity that I don't think in the nearest future we can deal, I mean, with the current approaches that is, well, a little bit outdated at the moment. We can deal with that with the approaches that we have in ChatGPT, for example, or current AI technologies. So that is good for you, that because you can do the things much better, much interesting, more interesting in thinking out of the box. Okay, so again, getting back to the assigning human features. So that was dedicated to our ability that we like to assign the human features. And you can see that if we measure how patients think about empathic therapy and compared humans to chatbots, we even think that chatbots could be better empathic, though it's not capable of emotions at all. It's being just trained to be polite rather than being actually empathic and feeling the emotions, feeling the pain. It's not capable of feeling the pain because it doesn't have serotonin. Okay, so those are a list of disadvantages. And what could be the key point of the disadvantages of assigning to artificial agent human features? Are there any hypotheses about that? Okay, that is not my hypothesis, but that was provided by one really clever neuroscientist. And she told me that we could start preferring communicating with the AI agents rather than humans, because it's more difficult to talk to humans than the AI agents. And we still need to communicate with each other rather than AI. Otherwise, we have to create AI interface to each other, being polite and soft and so on, haven't heard rude words and so on. But we are humans. We have to communicate to each other directly, most importantly. Right. Okay, I'm going to skip that. So the difference is that to the left, you see there are biological neurons. Again, I'm going to address that as a spiky neural network that works in me, works in you, and we can model that. And we are going to talk about that during the lecture. And to the right, we have only two features of artificial neural network that is used, for example, in ChatGPT. What is your favorite neural? Do you have favorite neural network rather than ChatGPT? Like Midjourney? Anything? Just like ChatGPT, Midjourney, there are some other examples like Perplexity and so on and so forth. They are just emerging. There are a lot of them. So, but those are that simple things, not having an option, again, with no serotonin, no neuromodulation, with no option to have emotions, empathy, and creativity, and so on. That is the future that you can develop, actually. And that is your challenge that you can do. Possibly not me, but you can do. Okay, the other disadvantages is energy consumption that I said. So, do you know how much of the energy we have to, eat or consume in some way as electricity or the chocolate bars to maintain our brain work? Well, actually, I have an answer here, right? So it's like 1.5 chocolate bar, like standard, like 100 grams. So, and you have to train ChatGPT, they have used 1 kiloton of the chocolate bars. Well, in electricity, for sure. They haven't actually fed it with the chocolate, for sure. So, but what for the training, they have used electricity compared to the electricity of the whole Sweden compared to the brain, which is 1 lamp with just 1 bulb. Well, energy saving because it's only 20 watts. Why is that good? And no ChatGPT could come here and give you the lecture as I'm doing. That is the future. That's what you can do, actually. It is really, really much more effective in as energy consumption. And they are already planning to buy the nuclear plants. I mean, OpenAI and Microsoft and Google, they are planning to buy nuclear plants to support this technology. Well, this is kind of strange. Why do we have that big gap in several orders of magnitude, like 10 with 6 zeros compared to the brain? Can we make it better? Yeah, possibly. Yeah, what it means to be human, actually. I'm not sure about timing because it says 45 minutes. Okay, so where our decision making is emotionally based. So all the decision that we make is emotionally based. So it's there is no pure logic. There is always emotionally based decision making in our brain. So we are context dependent. So we change, when the context changes, we change our, well, perspectives. We change our mechanism how to make the decisions, and the decisions are really different. We're always under uncertainty. We don't see the whole board. We don't see the whole picture. And we have to make the decisions under these conditions. But we have imagination, which is really, 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 really important. I'll give you one example. I can have experiment in my imagination at the moment. What if I forget the birthday of my girlfriend and won't buy the present to her? What's going to happen? That will going to be terrible, right? And we won't have nice evening and nice dinner and so on. What have I done now? I just got the experiment. Now I know the consequences, right? And I can just go and buy the present and everything is going to be okay, right? So I don't have to implement that physically. I can do that in my imagination only. And I got an answer. And you all can do that. You can practice that. And I'm sure you've done that several times. Many, many times, right? Okay. That is our power. That's what we can do. So, a bit about multimodality. So, we have, how many feelings do we have? Several. How many? Number, I expect number. 1, 2, 3. How many? So, how many, well, input channels has ChatGPT at the moment? Textual. It can process pictures, right? I cannot hear you still. And there is like audio input, right? So there are three of them, right? So how many do we have? Humans.
According to the movie Inside Out 2, we have 9 feelings.
9 feelings, okay. So let's count. Okay, so we have taste, we have audio input, video input, then we have smell, then we have, what else do we have? We have temperature, we have weight senses, we have what is called, well, internal feelings of our muscles and all the positions of the muscles. I got it like 8, what is 9? Touch, okay, touch, yes, of course, touch, and okay, that's mainly it, right? So we're kind of like 9-ish thing. Okay, possibly more. Pain, we have forgotten pain, that is 10. That is definitely 10. So we have pain, that's good. Because we have a lot of problems, we don't feel pain. Actually, ChatGPT cannot feel pain at all. It's not capable of. So again, and we integrate that number of feelings in a different way, just in our own brain, just as an input. That is completely different to what we have in neural networks. And the other thing that we have to pay for is information processing. Have you ever looked how kids learn? So we usually don't have to provide millions of images of cats and dogs for them to start like classifying cats and dogs. Why is that so? Why? Because what? With what? With a limited info, right. Really limited, right? Not terabytes of information like what we have to have in our current approaches of modern AI. We can have only 3, and that's enough. Because what I'm going to tell you, that approach is totally ineffective because they use feed-forward architecture. And we are going to talk about that during the course. And this is to the left, well, to the right, to the left of me, and this is hand well, actually done by the kid, and this is a cat. But if you do that in whatever artificial neural network, trained by the pictures, I mean photos of the cat, it won't classify because it's different. But for us, it's okay, and it's done by the kid. So we can do that, well, from the very beginning. Right, okay, how flexible the brain could be. Or spiking neural network in my head. This is the MRI of the patient, actual patient, that had most of the brain, well, because of the hydrocephaly, he had a massive hydrocephaly from his birth, I guess, and that was actually discovered occasionally because he was like living ordinary life, because the brain is that flexible that it could substitute with the minimal number of cells all the functions for more or less normal living. It has IQ of 79, and he was bureaucrat working. I mean, actually working and getting money for his work, yes. So that is the potential of the brain. That is how we could rearrange, I mean, how our brain could rearrange its work to still survive, to still work. Okay, summing up this, what I've said. So we've been talking about a lot about inefficiency of modern artificial neural networks, and you can see the comparison. So instead of the lamp, we have Sweden, right? So the learning, because of the learning processes that we have, are much more effective than what we have in artificial neural networks and ChatGPT. And the flexibility of that is fixed by the training. So we have the trained model, and you can talk to that, to ChatGPT, but it's not like set up for you. But when we start communication or relationship, especially the relationship, we have all the processes that we adjust to each other because we learn how we can react. We learn how we can communicate to each other when we pair up and make the relationship. That's what is done because we have online training that starts even before the birth until the end of the life. It never stops. It's always going on. That's the power of our brain. That's how the future technology will look like, and that's what you can do, actually. And it's highly parallel. It means, what does it mean? It means, do you know how many cells are in our brain? Who more? Who has more than millions? 100 billion. Oh yeah, this is correct answer, quickly. Okay, thank you very much. That's why it's highly parallel. So in worst case, well, taking into account synapses, that is even more than 10 power 15, which I don't know what is billion, trillion, and so on. But we could have 10 power 15 parallel processes, which is not, we don't have the hardware for that. So we have to create new hardware for the future artificial intelligence that could be compared to the humans, and that could be implemented as if we have this. Well, actually, it shouldn't be digital, to be honest, because we don't have digital technology in our nervous system. It's completely different. It's called spiking, and that could be the future ones. And then we have emotions, which is really important in our life. We cannot get rid of that. And people, if they don't have emotions, they suffer. And if they don't feel pain, they die, like being like teenagers. And the architecture is always being optimized during our lifetime. And that is really important. That is really important. It's not just fixed during the training, because the training is going on during the lifetime. So, getting back to the end, right? Okay, so this is the structure of the course. You can make a photo of that. As I said, you can apply to that, send me the email, and 20 of you will be selected. And you can just get freely, well, for the whole conference. At least I was promised by the organizers that they will do that. I guess this is it. I hope that I said something new and out of the box to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Max, for sharing your expertise and showing us the way that we can shape the future of AI. Now we have some time for questions, so I invite you to ask our esteemed speakers questions. Please raise your hand so we can give you the microphone.
Hi, everyone. My name is Marina. Just to give you a very quick introduction, I'm not a student. I'm here as somewhat of a colleague. I'm actually a leadership expert, and I've done my master's at University of London with the topic of skills for the leaders of future in Industry 4.0. And I have a question for Max, but it could be actually a point of discussion for each one of you in the room. During my studies, one of the modules that I did was to examine my biases as a decision maker, as a leader. And I took part in very complex and interesting exercises that examined how I make decisions based on the images that I see in front of me, etc. And it's little to say that the outcome was an eye-opening for me. I didn't agree with everything, but it started a thought process that really led to self-awareness. And do you think that AI is capable for this? Can AI, one, be biased, and can it be taught to overcome its biases? Because we're talking about diversity and inclusion. So what's the danger there? Thank you.
Hello? Oh, okay, it's on. Right. So, okay. What I've been presenting is mainly that the approach that we can get to the human level of AI. So we are not there. And can we make better things? Well, I will give you an example, which I was addressing to the guys that tell me about that, okay, AI is going to substitute us, we cannot control AI, and so on and so forth. So I'm a computational neuroscientist, and what I know from my work that we can control every synapse in the neural network, right? So, which, for example, my specialization is mainly spinal cord and cortical columns and thalamocortical lobes and subcortical areas that we've been addressing, like noradrenaline, dopamine subsystems and serotonin subsystems. So in the artificial brain, let's put it like that, I like this term much more than AGI, so we can actually control every synapse in that brain. We can, more than that, we can control the distribution of the weights, of the delays, of all the influences, and so on and so forth. It's much more under the control. So at the moment, you can, for example, imagine that we have some robot with this artificial brain, right, that works in real time and consumes like 20 watts that we have. We can control, make it less aggressive, more polite, and so on. We can actually do that because we will understand deeply how it works. I cannot tell you what synapse number 1 or number 1,025,000,000 has the weight at the moment in my head. And we cannot. But we kind of just get used to each other, right? But we don't know what is going on in our brains. Well, at least if we don't have special training for that, right? So I think that we would be able to make it more controllable than even our own brains. But that is the future, that is not now. And as I tried to address that, we have to develop new electronics for that, because current is not good for that. Yes?
said this will be a discussion, so happy to add, as a diversity professional, one of my favorite lines is, if you have a brain, you have a bias, period. So as long as, and I'm not an AI expert, but as long as these tools are being trained based on brains of human beings, it will continue to be biased. You have to make a really conscious effort to keep checking in and editing bias out. But your question was, can you make it bias-free? My humble opinion, not at this point. Because it's being created and it's being fed by brains that are intrinsically biased. And there are multiple examples right now. You can just Google it, right? Bias in AI examples. Just yesterday, someone posted of, those pictures that you can, edit, right? AI can edit a really nice professional picture of yourself. There's a woman engineer who posted her picture with a regular shirt. Hair was okay. And she wanted to edit her picture. The edited picture came back with her bra strap showing. And what is it, right? And there was a lot of discussion in the diversity community about, is this a sexualized version? Who trained this AI, that specific tool, right? So there are a lot of questions. That's a very simple example, but there are lots of other things about, people going in and correcting for bias and overcorrecting, and then AI spitting out images, putting in people where they should not have been there. Historical figures where they've not been there. Google had to pull back some of their work because of that, right? So it is so complicated. I don't think the answer is, at least my humble point of view, not at this point. It cannot be bias-free. You have to make a conscious effort. So hopefully that helps.
Thank you. Do we have any more questions? Okay, if not, I would like to thank our speakers for an incredible lineup of talks. And to our audience, thank you for being here today with us and for your engagement and curiosity. We hope you leave this session inspired and equipped with insights that will empower you on your journey into the world of biotechnology and artificial intelligence. I would like to invite all of our speakers to stay with us for lunch, and all of our guests to ask questions. Don't be shy. You can talk with our wonderful speakers during lunch. Thank you so much.